Ladies and gentlemen, this is Street Patrol. I am in New York City, and beautiful New York City. Come with me briefly. I just met a gentleman who has a word for you, a word for me. And I would like you to pay keen attention to this gentleman because he is very exciting and he is a motivator. We want to talk to you, especially the young black man. We want to talk to you this afternoon. Join us, come with me now on Street Patrol. His name is Gregory Jones. Gregory Jones has a mixture of commodities within his academic portfolio. He started off toying with medicine, went to some of the finest medical schools in America, and then he found himself doing theology at one of the finest theological institutions in America, Princeton University. But he's either not into theology per se, neither is he into medicine per se, nor law. What is he into and how has he fared? Mr. Jones, it is my pleasure having you visit with us at Street Patrol. Tell us a bit about yourself and all of these things that I just mentioned.
Well, number one, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share the information with with our people and the American public at large. Point of correction, didn't attend Princeton theology, went to a couple other theology schools in the country. But kind of tell you about my little journey. I started out as a young man. I wanted to initially be a neurologist because at a very young age, my favorite aunt lost her sight due to diabetes and untreated glaucoma. So as a young man, I decided that I was going to, I prayed to the God of my understanding that I was going to wipe blindness off the face of the earth. So what motivated me at a very young age, from the age of 6 to all the way to my senior year in high school, was in fact to master the science behind the human eye. Now in doing so, that motivated me because I realized that science is always one of those things that if you can just get your hands or mind around it, it'll take your mind on a journey. Well, here's the funny thing. A funny thing happened on the way to medical school. Got into medical school. In fact, Mount Sinai School of Medicine did very well.
In New York City.
In New York City, must definitely want to add that. But while doing my internship at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York City, a funny thing happened. I was working with a young lady. She and I worked in the emergency room. It's one of the series of places you get a chance to volunteer. Now, what happened is a young man who was the same age as myself at the time had suffered a massive coronary heart attack and died. Now, you gotta understand, I don't drink nor smoke. I exercise. I run anywhere from 3 to 10 miles a week. I'm a martial artist. I do a lot of meditation, prayer. Well, while I was trying to comfort this young man's mother, I said to her, it's always a shame when people, pass on to the next level of existence. And she stopped me. She said, well, young man, anytime that the Lord takes someone home that early, especially at the young tender age of 25 years old, then he's supposed to go home. So I said, wow, I thought that was pretty profound, because at the time I said, if a mother can say that, then he must be a really decent young man. So she continued to bawl her eyes out. So I went back over to her and said, well, ma'am, after what you just shared with me, why are you still crying so intensely? And she said, well, he was going to become an attorney. I said, wow. At that moment, I said to myself, okay, he's going to be this amazing attorney. Was he going to write civil rights or some fashion? She said, no. In fact, he was a musician. And I said, well, I don't get it. She said, well, you got to understand this. And she said, young man, I want you to hear this. I said, okay. I'm not crying because he wasn't able to become an attorney. I'm crying because he could play every musical instrument he ever touched at the concert level without any formal training. So it was in him naturally to be this musician. However, I'm bawling my eyes out because my son died my dream of becoming an attorney and not his own of becoming a musician. Well, when that happened, it struck me at the soul level. And I was revisited by words that my mother said to me as a young man, and that was, Never be afraid to change your own dream. And I realized that although I wanted to become this physician and neurologist, to be more specific, I didn't really want to work around sick people. So now if anybody knows anything about medicine, you would have to agree with me that that would be a bit of an issue, a bit of a problem. So I decided to tap into what I do love. I love sharing information. I love studying demographics and marketing and commercials and design. So I went back to school and got an MBA in marketing, University of London, and became a marketing strategist, started an advertising firm, and many of you have seen things I've been involved in and never knew who was behind it. I worked on campaigns that created the Time Warner campaign for Roadrunner, the Roadrunner campaign for Time Warner, excuse me. On the banking side, I've designed bank websites, more prominently Chase.com. I was part of the team that brought the unification of Chase Bank and Dwayne Reed. And there's a lot of other great things, but in my 10 years of marketing strategist, what I was able to kind of like, or I would say sort of like discover me more than me discovering it, was having so many different clients in New York City, where they was able to kind of give me access to some of the best companies in the world. And some of those companies, to name a few, I've worked with the United Nations, ended up becoming a marketing strategist and an economic development strategist. So they ended up hiring me out to the United States Army. So I ended up serving as a contractor strategist for the United States Army, which ended up...
And this is how you got to Africa.
How I got to Africa.
Where in Africa were you, and how many African countries did you visit?
Well, I visited so many. Let's just start on the Ivory Coast. I've been to every country on the Ivory Coast. I even had the honor of meeting President Jerry Rawlings when he was the head of...
In Ghana?
In Ghana. Been to Central Africa, from the Congo on down to Tanzania on the southeastern border by Zanzibar. Spent time out there working on economic development projects.
You also went to Morocco, you said?
Morocco, lived in Morocco, in fact, for 2.5 years, lived in the town of Marrakesh. So every town in the country of Morocco was an honored guest of King Mohammed IV and his wife Fatima. Stayed at the palace with them. One reason is that Americans don't generally travel to Morocco, especially for pleasure. So being out there, I was able to meet a lot of fantastic folk, made a lot of amazing connections, but the main thing was connecting with the people, the youth. They had me do a lot of economic development talks with the young folks there. Found out that they had an amazing power and idea for creativity. One thing was the production of new materials, new ideas, new engineering concepts. Another thing was seeing the natural resource of the people of Morocco, and then spending time in the Sahara Desert with one guide was from Johannesburg, another gentleman was from Kenya, who was on vacation there. So we spent time together just staying in the Moroccan desert, the Sahara Desert, excuse me, just on a survival
kind of trip.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any words? Do you have any words for black men, young black men? You know, it's about time, though. We have some serious, some not so serious.
Right.
And you've told me off camera your humble upbringing with your daddy, and how perhaps you were like the only, young man with a father in the yard or in the community.
Yeah.
How did that impact you, and what do you and would you like to say to black young men and black young women today?
Oh, wonderful. I would say as a message first, let's speak to young black people in general, that time is at hand. We don't have time to play around. Time is the most precious thing we have. You can borrow 10 seconds. You can borrow $10, but not 10 seconds. Life has afforded us here in the United States an opportunity to make a difference that you couldn't make anywhere else on planet Earth. I would also say this specifically now to young black men. There's a lot of people preaching about what you can and can't do. I'll say this, that the mind of the human being is without boundaries. The only limits we have are the ones we put upon our own selves. That I found incredible power in the black youth, and that I will say this, that music in general has uplifted and changed the face of this civilization more or less along as hip-hop. But I always give a definition of hip-hop bar from one of my favorite artists, KRS-One. Hop is a word that refers to movement. Hip means upbeat and relevant. So hip-hop is supposed to be relevant movement. So if you have a hip-hop culture, then everything that comes out of the hip-hop culture should be relevant and timely. Education is the only way. When I say education, I don't mean just getting a degree. I mean getting relevant training that allow you to take not only yourself, but your family, your community, and the people as a whole to the next level. What is that next level? The level of excellence. Excellence is the thing that we must all strive after, but we have to find a way to achieve excellence in education through economic development. So, the best way for one of us to discover our chief aim and purpose on this earth is, in my humble opinion, to start a business, because through economic development and enterprise are we able to then bring about the true meaning of education, which comes from a Latin term, educo, which means to develop or derive from within. So when you build a business based on natural talents and abilities, you're able to take not only yourself, but your community to the next and best level, which is excellence.
Mr. Gregory Jones, who is one of the senior admissions officers at the Arts Institute of New York City, visiting with Street Patrol. And this has been your good old friend, Garswa Yarmeto, coming to you once again from the heart of New York City. Hey, hi Indiana, hi Chicago, or hi Atlanta, Georgia, just in case. Don't envy us. We're just in the Big Apple, and that's who we are and what we are. Catch you next time. Don't go away. Keep on watching Street Patrol. Nice talking to you. Greg, it was my pleasure having you.
Thank you,
once
sir.
again.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Take care, bro.